Hello friends, welcome back. In this video we will learn about a very new concept in Android, which is services, and which is very important part. Let me show you a quick tour of the application which we are going to build. So you can see few things listed over here, like what are these things. Like I can see some packages which is com.google.android nexus launcher, then this Google quick search box, Android system, screen time. Now what is the screen time? Then Chrome, then settings. So these are all the applications which are opened by the user in his mobile phone. And this is the detailed use case. Now you can see these are all the different applications which are being opened, right? Suppose you opened Instagram or WhatsApp or let's say Facebook or another application. So they all will be listed over here. And you can see that my launcher has been opened since 18 minutes 40 seconds. But it doesn't mean that I have opened it only once. Maybe I have opened it thrice or maybe more than that. So it will include all of that time and show it me like my total usage. It shows me that yeah, I have opened it 276 times. And you can see the opening time, like how many times I have opened it. But as soon as I go to my detailed use case, now you can see that what is the actual usage of my application. Like you can see that it was started at this time and the duration was particularly this minutes, and then if I have a duration available, then I will see the duration, else I will see a brief use case. So these are all the detailed use case and we are going to make this application. And before we start, I would request you guys to please come upon the Firebase so that we can create few files, and that would be super grateful for us. Actually, what we need is a Firebase real-time database to store our things, because we want to store all of these things in real time. You can see this is the particular ID of an event. Now, as soon as I open this, you can see that I have app name, I have its duration, I have its end time, I have its ID, I have a package name, and I have a start time, and then similarly I have a simple user. So what you need to do is to come to Firebase, create a new project. I hope so you are aware of that. That's not a pretty difficult task. Then what I want, now let me show you another things. You can come over here in the project settings, and what you need to do is you need to add your SHA fingerprints, SHA1 and SHA256. You can get them with the help of your Android Studio Gradle W signing in report. You can go to the terminal and you can get that thing very easily. So after adding your SHA fingerprints, you need to download your JSON. You need to download your Google services.json, and then what you need to do is you need to come over here in your application module. Let me show you. In your Android Studio, create a project, name it as screen time. We will do that in runtime. But yeah, what you need to do is you need to come to Android, shift this to project mode, and inside application module you can see that I have my Google services.json. So you need to paste that particular file over here inside the app module. So after you do this, that will be good to go. And then one more thing which we need to do is to enable our real-time database. So come inside the real-time database and you will see a particular button to enable your real-time database. And then inside rules, make sure that you enable it in production. You can later on change it. You can change it in test. It's all up to you. Then definitely you can change the read and write to true for temporary. These rules are not secure, but we are doing it for learning purpose, so that's why it's fine. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, like, I need to give you a little bit of summary of what we are going to make. So basically we are going to work upon our MVVM architecture. That's why we have a data module, and inside the data module what we have is our app usage info. So our particular application will have an ID which is randomly generated and converted into string. Then we have a package name, application name, start time, end time, duration, and the user ID. Then we have a summary one. The summary will show app package name, duration, launch counts, and user timestamp. So this was the screen. So you can see that open times and all of these things. So this is just the summary one, and this another one is the detailed use case. Okay, Simply we have a repository. Then what we have, please ignore this navigation files, we will get to this later on. Then inside our screens we have our app tracker screen. That's what we basically want. Okay, so we have our app tracker screen, and inside that we have two tabs, which is tab number 1 and tab number 2. So if we are in tab number 1, then we want to show something else we want to show something else. Then what we have our view model, which is our app usage view model. Now this is a very small file. And then what is our main file? Here it is. This is the services file. You can see that this is an accessibility service. This is like the main code of our whole application. And yeah, again we have our main activity where we are handling the permissions. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let me delete few files, let me close them. Yeah, so come over here, let's try to create a new project and select this compose activity, and let's name it as I would name it as digital well-being, like it's in an Android. So in Android we basically have something called digital well-being in every application. Yeah, great. Let's finish the working, make this project sync. And yeah, meanwhile we need to add few dependencies. Then we'll show you those dependencies. Just have a look. So we need only two dependencies, which are this like only for coroutines, and yeah, the another one is for play services, which you will automatically get when you connect your application to Android. You just need to go to tools and then Firebase, and then you need to enable your real-time database, and that's it. The Firebase will guide you automatically what you need to do and what you want. And make sure that your compile SDK version is 35. I have told it many times, but yeah, you can just keep it in track that yeah, this compile SDK is in 35. Okay, I think so. Our project would be synced. Okay, it's in sync. So the first task which we are going to do is to create the packages, and then yeah, then we'll move forward. Okay, so this is like a very important concept of Android which I'm going to teach. Please remember guys to practice this thing as much as possible. Okay, it's almost done. I would say this, yeah, this basically depends upon the configuration of your computer on which you're working. Maybe my laptop is a little bit slower, but you have something like AMD Threadripper or something else, so it can sync fast. Okay, I'm almost done, I can see. Yeah, I'm done. So what we need to do is to come inside our application module, and then inside your manifest you need to make few changes. Now what is those changes? Let me explain you. Those changes are, the first of all, we need to add the permissions, which is very common. Let's come inside the manifest, and what you need to do is you need to add few permissions. So one is for the internet state and one is for the package usage permissions. So you don't need to do anything, just you need to copy these two permissions. One is for the package usage stats and another one is for internet. And yeah, now the main part, you need to add few intent filters. So not intent filters, you need to add few services inside your application. So what you need to do, you need to create a services block and you need to paste it just outside your activity block. So after your activity block, paste this thing up. So this is what we basically want. Now you need to create a XML file. That XML file would be nothing much. Let's try to create this thing. Just create an XML resource file. Okay, just create this thing, and we need to paste few things over here. And then what we need a particular string, that string can be easily copied. I'm going to provide you the string name. So I will show you the GitHub to this project so you guys can copy all of this stuff. Now let's create the string resource. Let's give it the value. So this is nothing, just a description to our application. Don't get like what is this thing and how we are going to use it. Okay, great. Now this thing is also done. Now what we need to do is we need to come back to services in this manifest. Now what is this utils and all of that stuff? We can just simply remove that stuff temporarily. And yeah, now let's try to create our packages. The first package which we need in our Kotlin is, let's come over here, yeah. So let's create a package, name it as the data layer. And after the data layer, what we need our, inside the data, we need our model and repository. So let's create it. Let's create our model. And another one would be our repository. Let's create it. Yeah, so here is our repository and we have our model. Then inside the UI portion, we need our screen. Let's get our screen. And basically we need one more, which is our ViewModel. Let's add our ViewModel. Yeah, that's it. And another one, we need one more package, which is our services. So basically we are going to add, okay, by mistake it's inside the data layer. No, it's not, I guess. Yeah, so this is our services, and yeah, that's pretty much what we want. Now let's me copy the dependencies. The dependency were for, let me show you. Let's go to the grill barrel. Yeah, that's it. Let's convert this to 35 and let me copy the dependencies for coroutines. Yeah, so you need to add these dependencies. Make sure that a version is the stable one. Please don't go ahead and like the latest version in 1.8.1 but it isn't stable, so that won't make sense to go upon. Okay, so just sync this project and then we will be good to go to start our coding. Okay, let this thing sync. Okay, now let's create our app tracker services file. So inside the services, since this is the main file, so let's try to make this one first. Inside this, come over here and create a class, name it as app tracker services. Fine. Now this app tracker services is basically going to extend a particular class. Now what is that? That is an accessibility services. Yeah, this one, let it extend accessibility services. And yeah, now there are few functions which we need to override. You might see an error which we see we need to implement the members, which we are going to implement definitely. We won't do it like that, but before that what we need is to create few vals and vars which are going to take care of the particular things. Okay, so we need a private val tag which is going to give us a tag whenever it is required. Then we need a services scope. Now what is this services scope? Services scope, let me just copy the code for you guys, so and then I'll explain you. Now what is this? Import all the necessary things required. Import dispatchers. Now what is this? A supervisor job, a job that does not cancel all children's once failed. So this is a kind of job that does not cancels all of its children when it fails. If one fails, suppose you have a job, you have several jobs and you are the parent, and if one of the job fails, it doesn't mean you have to cancel all of them. So this is like the work of the supervisor job. Then we have a dispatcher.io, which is already known to us, which is an indicated operation should run on the IO thread. Then we have something called a private latent var, which is repository. We need our repository for its working, but yeah, we will add our auth repository just in a while. Let's create it. Okay, let's create our auth repository, sorry, app usage repository. So we have our app usage repository now. That's completely fine. Let's import this thing. Now what else we need? We need a start time and we need a package. So this thing will, this var, private var current package string, this thing is going to keep the track of the package which we are going to add, and if package is available, then it's well and good, and if it's not, it will show a null. Then we have something called current time start, which is going to basically store the time for us. Now we have a companion object. Now what is that companion object? That is nothing much, just it is going to hold few vars. Let me show you guys. Let's import live data, import mutable state of. Okay, so a mutable live data tracks whether the service is running or whether service is not running. It is this one, not this one. This is a private one, but this is a public one. This public one is immutable live data exposed to the observers who want to know the service status. Like this will be exposed to the owner who wants to see. This will deal with the backend, and this is going to interact with our UI part. Okay, now the first thing, the first override method. This pattern, let me show you. We need to override on create event, which is very basic. Like whenever the application is created, we have an on create event. Like an activity lifecycle, we have an on create, on start, on destroy, and all of that stuff. So whenever the application is created, I want to do something. I want my repository, which is equal to app usage repository. I will provide it the application context, and I want to see whether it is running or not, and I want to post that particular value that that the service is running. Whenever this thing is started, I want to post the value that service has started running. So this is the on create lifecycle method that calls the parent class implementation first. This is the parent class. Is the parent class. It initializes the repository with an application context and update the services status to running, and it posts the value to update live data from the background thread. Okay, this post value is used to update the live data which is coming from our IO thread. You can see. Okay, now what we need, we need to override one more function. The another one is like on service connected. Now what is this on service connected? This on service connected is nothing much to care about, but yeah, this is like call when the service is successfully connected to the accessibility frameworks. Okay, it creates and configures the accessibility info object. You can see accessibility, this is an accessibility info object, and we are trying to modify this. We are storing it inside a val, and we are trying to modify this. Info.event types. Event type specifically specifies that the service only cares about the window state. Now what is this window state? Event types means the name defines it. Event types. Now which type of event is my service going to take care of? So whenever I see a window state change, whenever my application closes, whenever my application opens, so this is what it is going to change care of. Now what is this feedback? This feedback is a generic feedback, which means no audible or haptic feedbacks. Then what is notification timeout? Sets how frequently the service want to receive an event. If I increase this time, let's say 1000 or something like that, so my service will receive a particular event after a delay. So I want to keep it as 100 milliseconds. This is the service times which it wants to request the event. Now what we have next? We have assigned this, all of this stuff. We have assigned this, which is this. This is like we have assigned all of this stuff to the info, and now accessibility is set up, and this is a log. We are trying to log that stuff that yeah, now your service is connected and we can move forward. Now we have one more method which is on accessibility event. Now what is this stuff? Let's try to understand this thing. This is another method which we need to override. This method is like something, let me tell you. Okay, so this is the core method that handles the accessibility events. Okay, so this one is the like main method which can refer to. So this says it starts with a safety null call. It uses a safe call comma dot let to process the event, then only if it is not null. So this is this line question mark dot let. So this is a safe call. This only allows the event to get triggered when the value is not null. If it is null, then it won't allow it to trigger. It checks if the event is a state change or not. If the event type, like you can see that line, if the event type is equal to accessibility.windows state change, okay. If the window state is changing, it means if you are shifting from one window to another, or you're opening a window, or you're closing an application, then what I want to get the package name and convert it into the string, and I want to save it inside a val. Okay, well and good. Now another if statement, if the package is not equal to null and the package is not equal to the current package, then I want to mark a stamp time. Now what is this stuff? Like if I have opened an application, okay, package name won't be null, and the another applications I open, the package name will change. So as soon as the package name changes, this indicates that I have shifted this app. And as soon as I want to shift app, I want to have a timestamp. That particular timestamp would be to record the ending time, and one will record the opening time of the another application. So this is what I'm going to make a timestamp. Now, if the current package is not equal to null, okay, well and good, current package should not be null, but the current start time should be greater than 0. If my start time is less than 0, then simply means that I haven't opened a particular application, or I have used it less than a 0.1 second, which is like near to null. So whenever this thing is there, I want to load few things. I want to load the app usage. Now this is a method which I will create. The load method will take a current package. It will take the current start time, and it will take the stamp time, which is very fine. We are going to take all of it, and we are going to store all of this particular event into our database. We will use our repository to store that particular thing into our Firestore database. Before starting, let's connect our project to Firebase so that we can start. Just come over here inside your tools, Firebase, real-time database, get started, connect to Firebase, and you can see the stuff over here. And I have various projects. Let's say I want to connect it with this one. Like inside a project, you can have several applications, so that's not a big deal. I already have 3 applications, so yeah, I can add one more. You can see this thing is connected. Very fine. Let's add the dependencies, and all of the stuff would be added. We don't need to do anything. Now you can see, I guess we will have our file over here. Let me show you. We have our Google services.json. Okay, this thing is automatically added, but in previous times we don't have it. We need to add it manually. So yeah, that's a benefit, we can say. Okay, we are done. Let's get back to Android, and let's come over here inside the Skycast. Okay, not Skycast, actually that was my old project. Let me shift. Okay, that was not expected. Yeah, let's get to the fixing, and inside is, where is the screen time? Okay, here it is, the digital well-being. Now I have to come over here inside my project settings, and I'm in my digital well-being. Now what I need to do is I need to add few things, which is I need to add my fingerprints. To add the fingerprints, we need to get them definitely. So I will give you a piece of code which you guys can copy, and you can get the keys very easily. Let me go to my CMD prompt, and you need to specifically type this thing. Let me show you. Please take your time, and you have to copy this stuff. This is my package name where my Android debug key store is placed. It can be anything for you. You have to configure this path according to you, and upon clicking I will get my keys. Okay, this says something. Okay, let me come to my Android Studio, and inside the terminal, let me try this thing. Okay, I have my keys. So what you need to do is you need to copy your keys, and just you can paste it inside your application, and then let's paste the SH256, add fingerprint. Okay, well and good. Let's come over here, and what we need to do is we need to come inside the real-time database. We need to make sure that this thing is enabled. In my case, it is already enabled, so that's not a issue for me. Okay, so let's come back. All of the things are set up. Now let's come to our app tracker services, and what we need to do is we need to create a method on load, which is basically going to utilize my which is basically going to utilize my repository for its working. This I have a method which is going to log everything for me, but to make this method work, I need my repository for its working. So we will have few methods like to open, log, app opened, log and interrupt, log and destroy. So we need few methods inside our repository which we are going to make. Like this was logged app usage. It requires a package name, start time, and an end time. Basically, we require these three things only to log a application. And then we need to log an app open. We need to log an on interrupt. Now this interrupt is very good. Suppose you open Instagram and you close it for like few minutes, and then you again reopened it, so your time will start from where you left. So that's why we were able to see the total app usage time. So till the time the application was not opened, we will get that thing into on interrupt. Then we have something called on destroy, which is very good. Then we'll simply post that things to false. Like in on create, we enabled repository is running to true, and we have enabled this thing to false. Now let's get inside our app repository and start working for it. The app repository is not a much thing to worry about. Our app repository will require simply a context, and it will require our database for its working, and yeah, it will require a few more things. We need a data class also, which we will create in a while. Okay, so our app repository will first of all require a constructor. Let me provide it. It will be a simple val context. We need to give it the context. Let's give it perfectly fine. Now I guess so we will not see this error over here. Yeah, we will see the application context. Now we are not seeing this error, right? Now let's come inside this. We need to create few vals, which is the first one is our database. Let's get this thing over here. Then we need our app usage reference. Now let's create it. So basically you can change the path name to anything you want. In my case, I want it to be this one. Then I want to have my suspend function, which was to load the events. Now this one is the main event. Let me explain this method to you. Now this is the most important method of our whole application. Let's try to understand this. This private val is a suspend function which is using coroutines basically that logs the app usage events to the Firebase. It takes a package name, start time, and an optional end times which is default to the current time, and it is marked as suspend because it contains an asynchronous operations. Is that okay? Right. Then what we need a try block. Inside that try block we have a package manager which is the context package manager. Then we have another val which is app name. Now to get the app name, basically we have a try block. Inside that try block we are seeing that we have a val app info, and we are asking our package manager, which is basically our context package manager. I'm asking my package manager to get the application info, and what I want to get the package name. That's completely fine. This completely makes sense that I want to get my package name and I want to store it inside my app info. And what else I want? I want my package manager to get the application label. And which kind of label? I want to have my application info as a label, and I want to convert it into the string, and then simply I want to store it inside the val. Now what else I want to do? I want to have a catch block. If I run into error, then I will simply name not found exception, and I will show the package name that, yeah, for this package name no name is an animal. Okay. So the next thing which we are going to implement over here, you can see val duration. If the end time is greater than start time, then end time minus start time L0. Now what is this stuff? This is simply the duration for which the application was opened. If the end time is greater than start time, which is pretty obvious, your ending time of the application should be greater than your start time. Now, if your end time is greater than start time, then what you want to do? Simply, you want to subtract your end time with the start time. That's it. That's what we basically want. So now let's move ahead and try to understand few more things, which is app usage event. This creates an app usage event object with all the details about the app usage and the current session. We have a package name, we have an app name, we have the start time, end time, user, and all of that stuff. So we are mapping all of these things into an object, and we are going to pass all of this thing inside our Firebase real-time database. Now we have converted into an object. Now we are using our object usage event reference dot child. We are creating a child, and we are passing the app usage event dot id to set the value. Which value do we want to set? We want to set this object as the value and wait till the things are done. So this is how we're adding a particular event to our Firebase. Now what is that means to us? Okay, so we have that particular ID which we see. So the child would have an ID, and upon click on that ID we will see all of this stuff. Now what I meant is this: we have an ID, and upon click on this thing we are going to see all of this stuff. So this is what I'm going to say. This was I was explaining. Now we have some more things to do. Those are very simple. Now you can see that we have an error with what is app usage info. This app usage info is actually a data class. Data class will contain all of this stuff. We will create the data class in a while. Or let's create this thing. Let's create a simple val. Then come inside the models, create a new data class. Inside this data class, name it as app usage info, and we are done. Let's create this stuff, and every app usage will have an ID, package name, app name, start time, end time, duration, and a user ID. And let's import this, and we are done. Now let's come to the repository once again. We need another method, which is the get today's app usage event detail case. Now this is something which we need to see. Now this will give me the total time for today till I have opened that particular application. Is that clear? I think so. There's some sort of error. Let's import the stuff. Yep, now we are done. Now what does this method says? Now this method is like an important one. First of all, we are getting this function which returns a flow of app usage data for that particular current day. Means suppose for the particular day I open Instagram for 20 hours, so let's say 2 hours. So how does that 2 hours came to me? How does that data came to me for that particular app of the day? So this is the method which is basically going to do it. Okay, so this is a callback. Uses callbacks to convert the callback based Firebase API into Kotlin flow. This method uses callback flow to convert the callback based Firebase API into Kotlin flow. So basically Firebase is giving me a response, so we are going to use that callback to track that thing. You can understand it like this. So this is nothing, just an calendar implementation. We have a val calendar.get instance. We have to initialize an object, then we have set the hour of the day, minutes, second, milliseconds, and then we have started all of the stuff into a val, and then we are storing that to the start of the day. Now we have a val listeners. We are trying to calculate the timestamps for the start of the current day, which is midnight, to filter the events. So this event, we are having this particular events when the data changes in the database. This callback is triggered, iterates through all the children in the snapshot, converts each children into app usage info object, and filters to include only the events from today, and sends the stored list, which is newest first, and sends the new list, which is the newest first, to the flow collector using try send. Okay, let's try to understand this once again. We have a listener object which is val event listener. Okay, great. We have a method which we need to override. Since this object extends val event listener, which is provided to me by Firebase, now what is going? It is overriding a function on data change, and on data change requires a snapshot, which is of kind data snapshot. We have a val event which is a mutable list of application usage info. Now what is this? Let me show you. We have a val events. We have a val events which is a mutable list of we have a val events which is a mutable list of all the app usage info object. This is an object of app usage info, which is app usage info. It's a data class. This is also in its objects, right? So we are storing all of them. Since this is a list, we are storing it inside a val for each child snapshot. This is a snapshot for each child snapshots in children snapshots. If the event dot get value, if the event is changed, I want to track it and I want to add it, and I want to try to send it inside the descending order. Is that okay? Now we are trying to do that particular stuff. We are trying to send it to the Firebase. Okay. Now we have something called on cancelled. This on cancelled results by attached to the listener of the Firebase reference and orders the results by start time milliseconds in the field. Filters, it have filters to include only events after the start of the day. Okay. And if we have like and no errors, we can see that we don't have an application open. We are simply sending an empty list. Now this is what this all of this stuff is waiting. Now this last line, await close. This await close specifies the cleanup code that will execute when the flow is closed. Remove the Firebase listener to the previous to avoid any sort of memory leaks. Now let's come over here and add the last method which we want. Okay, we don't need any more method, I guess. Yeah, that's it for repository. Now we have our data class. Now what we need to design our UI. Before we started designing our UI, let's try to implement something inside the main activity. Like whenever our application opens, we actually need to ask the user the permissions. Without his permissions, we can't do anything. So we need some sort of permissions. Now let's try to add those permissions. Okay, let's remove all of these methods. We don't even need them. Then inside greetings, just remove all of the stuff and remove the scaffold also. Now, we need a surface, and that surface will do our work. We need a surface over here, and we need an app tracker services screen which we are going to create. And let's create a val view model for this. We will create a view model very soon, don't worry. Now we need to have a check for permissions after enable H2H. Before setting the content, we need to add a check permission. Now what is this check permission? Let me show you in just a second. Yeah, come inside the bundle and we need a private val. If we have permission, then I'm setting my ViewModel.setPermission granted to grant it, else I will not. And then I have another method, handle the usage stat permission. So basically I will get the context to my system as open the app ops manager if the mode is build version this, like if the build version is sdk.integer is greater than the OS build version of the course. So don't worry, just you need to copy this code. Basically what this code is doing, this is going to check whether your SDK version is enough or not. Then it will simply redirect you to the application screen, and it will ask you to open your screen, and it will ask you permissions, basically nothing else. Okay, now let's have another method which I'm going to override on resume. We have these methods inside an activity on start, on create, on pause, on resume. So I'm overriding on resume. So my activity was paused. I went to my settings and I enabled the settings that I want to provide the permissions. Then I come back, and then my activity resumes. Then again want to check the accessibility permissions, that whether the permissions are provided or not. If the permissions are provided, then it's good. If it's not provided, then simply go back to settings and try once again. Now let me create that particular method for you guys. This method is check for accessibility permissions. This needs a val. Is accessibility enabled? Is accessibility service enabled is another method which it requires for its working, which is basically going to check all of that stuff for us and give us the response. Okay, now let's try to understand this thing. Okay, so this method creates a services name. It takes the package name but plus the app tracker services. Then it tries to store it inside a val and tries settings.secure.inconversion and accessibility enabled. Now this line particularly wants the user to make the settings enabled. If the settings are enabled, then it's good. But in some phones whose SDK version is pretty old, we don't have this accessibility function, so we are simply going to log it. Then if the accessibility is enabled, we are simply, if enabled is equal to 1, then settings dot value to get the strings, convert the settings secure enables accessibility service. We are trying to enable it, else we are trying to enable false. Then we will log it that your service has been enabled, and we are going to return that settings dot value dot split contains the service name. So you can copy paste this code. This is basically going to redirect you to the screen, redirect you to the settings, and ask you to enable it. If you have enabled it, it will redirect you to your app tracker screen, and if you have not enabled it, then it will simply redirect you to the settings screen once again to make you check that, hey, you haven't enabled the settings. I need accessibility services to work upon. Okay, now let's create our view model. Inside this, create a app usage view model. Okay, fine. Now inside this app usage view model, create an application context, and this needs an Android view model for its working. What is Android view model? It is a built-in class. So basically we need this line over here. Our app usage model will require the application for its working, and it will extend the Android view model class for its working. Now first thing, we need our repository. Since we have this as a view model, let's have a repository. Fine, import this. Next, we need to see whether the permission is provided or not. So we will have two vals, one is the private one and one is the public one. Then we need to see whether the service is running or not. So let's copy that stuff too. So we just need to simply make a check whether the service is running or not. Let's import the app tracker services. And we have to add this inside our manifest too, I guess. Yeah, let's add this thing and we are good. Then what we need to add the today's event, like what was open today and what was all of this stuff. So we need to import it as a live data. All of this thing is provided to me by my repository. Now the first method which we need is to see whether my permissions are being provided to me or not. So whether the permission is granted, then I want to set it to is granted, else I want to set it to false, which is a boolean. I guess you completely know about what is a boolean. It is a true or false. Now we have something called an event, which is app usage summary, which is using my repository. This is using my repository for its working. Let me map all of that stuff. Okay, so in one screen we were seeing some sort of data, and in another screen we were showing it summary. The summary was the first screen which we were seeing, like how many times the application has been opened and all of that stuff. So it will convert my application name to string. It will convert my total duration. It will have my count, like how many times the app I have opened. It will take my last used time and it will log all of that, and it will convert it into an object of type app usage summary. Now let's create an app usage summary data class. Let's create this thing, app usage summary. Now this thing will contain an application package name, app name, duration, launch count, and time used for. It will convert all of that stuff into my object, and then I will simply use it to track my things, and I will use it to show it inside my UI part. Then I have something called format the duration and format the time. So these are nothing, just these are the helper methods which you can literally guys copy and paste from anywhere which is made available to you. You can simply go to any AI, you can ask for a function which is going to format the time for you. So you can see I have trying to format the duration over here. Like I have this stuff, and then I have this format date and time to format me everything. Now let's try to come into our screens, which is the most important UI part, and it is the only one which we have. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the code and I'm going to explain you each and every composable line by line. Now let's do that particular stuff for you guys. Now after teaching since a long time, I have realized that like this is the best method to teach the UI. Okay, like literally this is the best method to teach UI, trust me guys. Now let's create our service inside the screens. create a function, name it as app tracker screen, and yeah, simply I'm going to paste the code. I will see some errors. I need to import few files. Don't worry, all of the stuff will be like completely explained to you. Let's remove the faulty imports. Okay, let's add a dependency. Okay, let it add. So meanwhile, let's open few things so that I can explain you the stuff properly. Okay, now you can see that I have explained UIs in this code few times. You can see that I have this over here. Okay, now let's try to, okay, this is like very much zoom, we don't want it this. Okay, I guess this much is enough. Now let's open these two things side by side, and all of these things are imported and no error has been there. And let's try to import that stuff inside our main activity. Okay, now let's try to understand this side by side. So the first thing which we have is like, yeah, so first we have this context, and then whether the permission is provided or not, whether the service is running. So we have get all of these things from our ViewModel as observable state. So we need a scaffold. Scaffold basically contains few values. You can imagine the scaffold like this. Like we have a scaffold. Okay, not this one. Yeah. So we have a scaffold, something just like this. Okay. So we basically have a holder to hold the things for us. You can imagine the scaffold as the holder. So what is the next thing we have? We have a top bar, and inside that top bar we have a UI element whose name is top bar. Okay, I have my top bar, and inside that top bar I have something called app usage tracker as the name. Okay, let me add it. Okay, fine. Let me add it over here. So this is inside my top bar. Well and good. Now what I have some padding values as a lambda. Now if the permission is granted to me, okay, if the permission is not granted to me, then I want to add a UI element accessibility permission request, and then I want to make the context to start the activity, and I want my user to be directed to the settings, the action accessibility settings. So if the permissions are not provided to the user, then I simply want to start an activity and provide an intent to go to the settings, and which settings? Preferably accessibility settings. And then I want to make the toast that, hey, after enabling, please come back to the application. Else I want to show the app usage tabs. Now if the accessibility service is provided, then good. Then if it is not provided, then I want to show some tabs. But first try to understand what is accessibility permission request looks like. So it says I have a column which is filling the maximum size, and I'm trying to align it horizontally and vertically in center. So I have enabled this thing, it is in center. I have an icon which says icon.default. So let's have an icon over here. This is my icon, and I have some spacer which is height wise. Okay, some height wise spacer. Okay, let's have some height wise spacer, and that says text. This requires accessibility service to track the app usage. So I want to show a text while saying that, hey, this application requires a particular permission for you to add. Let's minimize this thing. Okay, this is pretty large. Yeah, this much. Okay, not this much too. Yeah, this thing is enough. So I want to show this as a text. Then what I want to do, I want to show another text. Please enable the app notification travels in the settings, and I want to have some sort of spacer before that. So what I'm going to do is I want to add a spacer. This is a spacer. Then I want to add this line. So after that, I want to have a button. Let me have my button. And this button will simply say open accessibility settings, and it will redirect me to the settings. That's it. And we are done. Like, this is the error screen which we are going to see if we haven't provided the permission. Now let's erase this stuff. And then let's go for what happens when the permission is provided. We want to see some app usage tabs. So basically we have a column, and inside that column we have a tab row. Tab row is a UI component provided to us by this Compose. So inside this column, we want to see something. We have this tab row, and this is a column basically, and inside this column we have our tab row. So the first item which we are going to see inside the tab row, it would be somewhat here, and the another one would be somewhat here, which is our app usage info and app usage tracker, which is this one, summary and detail event. We are seeing our app usage tracker at the very top, which is our this top bar, and then we are seeing our summary, which is the tab 1, and this is the tab 2. Tab 1 and tab 2. So the first tab says summary, and the another tab says detailed events, which you have just seen, summary and detailed events. Now, when the selected tab index is 0, means we are on our summary tab, then what I want to do, I want to show a box. If something is available, then I want to show a lazy column, else I want to say no summary available yet. So if it is enabled, I want to show a lazy column. This is my lazy column over here. So inside my lazy column, I want to show some things which says app usage summary. Let me show you. This says app usage summary. Okay, let me add it over here. I will have my app usage summary over here. Then what I want to show the items, and items are of specific type. How are they? They are of type app usage summary events. I will explain that later on. Now, what happens if we are on tab number 1? When we are on tab number 1, then inside this particular box, I want to show items. I want to show something like, I don't want to say app usage events and 693 events and the total 9 types of events. So I want to show app usage events inside the text. I want to show it over here, and then I want to show the total number of events which has just occurred. And similarly, if I don't have any events, simply I will show a box that no detail events are available yet, if the total events is empty. Now, if it is available, then I will show some sort of app event items. And if I am on my tab number 1, then I will see some app usage summary events. Now let's try to understand what is app usage summary events. Okay, I have a column again. Very good, I have a column over here. Inside that column, I have, okay, my mistake, I'm sorry. It should be something like this. So basically, I'm going to design this particular item, this particular card. So I'm now going to design this. So I have a column. Inside that column, I have a text which says summary.app name. Now I have some padding. That's why I have given it some padding from the boundary. You can see I have some padding. Now then I want to show a text over here, which will, let me magnify this a little bit. So I have a text view over here, which will display me the application name. So I have my app name over here. Let me extend this a little bit. Yeah, I have my app name. Then I want to have a spacer height wise. Okay, then I want to show a row. Since this was a column, so all of the things will be placed downwise. I have a spacer. After getting the spacer, I am giving it some space, and I will have a row. That row have no modifiers, mean it will occupy everything which is available. Okay, it has occupied. Inside that row, items are placed sidewise, like here. If inside the row we place items, one item is placed here, then another would be placed here. Just imagine a row in front of you. Then inside that row, the first item is a column. Okay, well and good. The first item is a column. You can see inside this row, the first item is a column, the another item is another column. So inside a row, I want to have two items. I want to have column number 1 and I want to have a column number 2. I have two columns and all of them is like weight 1 by 1. That's why they are in center, like the size is equal. Okay, now inside this column, I want to show a text. That text is the ViewModel.format duration. So this is basically going to show me the duration. I will see my duration over here. Then the another thing which I'm going to see is whether the application is opened. So this will say opened and times. So this is going to show me how many times my application was opened. And similarly, I have two text view over here, which is last used and format date and time. So I will have one text view over here and another one over here. So this is how it is going to look, and to compare with this, I can make you compare. You can see that in summary event, I have screen time, the name over here. Then I have my screen, then I have my use time, which is this one. Then I have my open times, which is this one. Then I have my last used, which is this one. And then I have my this thing, which is called the date, format date and time. So this is how this screen is looking like. Each item is looking the same. But for my detailed events, the case is a little bit twisted. Now let's try to design the detailed case use card. Let's remove this thing. The things which we have common is the screen time, which is good, but we don't have two boxes over here. We have only one thing, which is this start time. And then if we have a time available, then we will show the duration for which it is used, else we will simply show a brief cut. And let's minimize this also, and then this is common, like screen time is common, and here is the app usage event toolbar. So this is for the second tab. Now let's try to understand the code once again. This was the app usage summary items, and this was the second one. We have a row, inside that we have a text to show the start time, and if the duration is greater than 0, means we have used it, then I want to show the particular duration for which I have used, else I want to show the brief use case as a by default text. Now this UI part is over, everything is over. Now what I want to say is that you can design your UI in all complete way possible to you. You are free to use any UI component. Since I was limited with time, that's why I have designed a very simple UI. You can see, and these things are kept on increasing and increasing, like 701. Now this thing, now as soon as these things occur, 703 events. And then as soon as I close this thing, 705 events. So, and everything is happening and everything is getting logged. I opened something and then 709 events happen. I opened it again. 711 events, 713 events. So everything is just getting tracked. Okay. So this is how this application is all about. So overall, I have opened only these applications, but in details, you can see I have triggered 713 times. So that's the basic difference. So that's it for this application. I hope so enjoyed it. And for the GitHub, let me show you the Git link for this. You can simply come to my GitHub ID, which is dev.winterfell, and then I have my repository over here. Let me show you which repository I was mentioning. which is the screen time. So you can simply come to the screen time, and if you have any sort of issues, you can simply go over there and you can refer to it. So that's it for this, guys. I hope so you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.